How's it going, super friends? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we have a very special presentation. We're going to be reviewing the entirety of Wave 1 of the Kenner Total Justice action figure line. Wave 2 will be the next video to come, but for now, it's all about Wave 1. Back in 1996, with the Kenner Total Justice action figure line, it would mark the first multi-character DC Comics action figure line since the Kenner Superpowers collection ended 10 years ago. The series would total 14 figures, and Wave 1 included Darkseid, Aquaman, Flash, Batman, Green Lantern, and Tim Drake Robin. And if any action figure line perfectly encapsulates the designs and feel of the DC universe in the 1990s, this is it. There was also a comic book miniseries that lasted 3 issues and focused primarily on Batman, Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and Robin. And in these 3 issues, we learn why each of these DC characters needed the fractal armor to face off against Darkseid and his minions. There's a short explanation on the back of the package, but the comic books really go into it. So each one of these action figures came in your basic blister bubble card back, with artwork, I believe, don't quote me on this, by John Bogdanove. The back of the packaging for each one of these action figures was very similar, but also unique in its own way. I mean, on the bottom, they all had, "Look for Superman action figures and vehicles in stores now," because the Kenner Man of Steel collection had just been released simultaneously, and they had the legal mumbo jumbo and the cut along the dotted line proof of purchase for each character, as well as all of the figures that came in that particular wave. But when you got to the top of the packaging, that's when things got a little bit more unique, and we'll look at each of those as we open each one up. And let's start with Batman. Batman has flight armor and glider cape, and this is pretty much what you got. Turning it around, as mentioned before, very similar. Each of the figures in the wave are all down here, but then each figure has an image of the figure you get, and then a little bio there. Batman and alter ego millionaire industrialist Bruce Wayne relies on his superb athletic skills, excellent detective work, and amazing crime-fighting devices to combat the forces of evil. Using his fractal tech gear armor equipped with side rocket thrusters and rigid glider cape, the Dark Knight is able to soar through the night skies to take on evildoers. Interesting. Now, let's release him. And here he is, Batman with his flight armor and glider cape. Batman's armor consisted of a chest piece, a helmet, and 2 pieces of leg armor. Here's a closer look at Batman's glider wings. Here's a closer look at Batman's armor before we put it on the body. This is really interesting looking, very futuristic. You got the helmet here. This is pretty much what we thought the future was going to be like in the 90s. Everyone was going to be wearing big visors. Unless you had a big visor, it wasn't super teched out in the 90s. You got these bits of leg armor. Oops, I've got them upside down. I do believe they would go like that. Complete with Total Justice logo right there on the front. And as for all the armor and accessories, it just snapped into place. You just popped it on like that, get the helmet, pop it on like so. Ta-da! And there you have it. That's what this Batman looked like. I probably won't, if I'm being honest, pose him in the armor. That'll go in a Ziploc bag somewhere. But here's what the armor looks like up close on Batman. Let's push the mask down a bit more. It looks kind of silly with his face poking out. Yeah, that was 1996. Let's take the armor off and just have a very quick look at Batman as well, in a more up close and personal kind of way. So now that we've gotten all of the armor off of Batman, let's just have a closer look at him and see exactly what all the details look like up close. So this is pretty much what you got. Highly defined pre-pose. See, the abs are kind of squished off to one side. Yeah, these were not neutral pose figures, as I keep mentioning, but they did do a lot to try and make the sculpts look a bit more interesting. Like with the boots there, they've got various bits of imagined artistic license sculpted detail, and the same thing with the gloves. Imagined artistic license. I don't like the fact that there is no cowl down here. They didn't continue it. It's just like gray right up to the neck. But I get why, because they put the wings on. The face sculpt for Batman looks good though. Very contemporary with the 90s. Looks pretty much what he looked like, with the longer ear horns and just a general 90s Batman look. And since we opened Batman first, we might as well open Robin. Robin came with spinning razor discs and battle staff. And you'll see once I get him out how the battle staff was really massive and huge and more like a murder staff. And here's a quick look at the bio for Robin's card back. As the third person to don the guise of Robin, Tim Drake trained under the watchful eye of Bruce Wayne to become Batman's crime-fighting partner. Using finely honed martial arts and acrobatic skills, along with a razor-sharp intellect, Robin proves himself an even greater threat to villains with his fractal tech gear, spinning razor disc, and battle staff. Cool. Now, let's open him up. And here's what Robin looks like out of the package with all the gear he comes with. Here's a closer look at that there chest piece. That's pretty interesting too. Like Batman's has that very futuristic, what we thought that this would have looked like in the 90s. Total Justice logo right there, because you know how Batman is. He's got to splash his logos on everything. We have here his murder staff. And the reason why I call this a murder staff is, I mean, well, just look at it. It's got two scythes on the end. I mean, what are you going to do with two scythes besides lop off limbs and possibly the occasional head? You're going to murder with it. Although, really, he is going up against Darkseid and his little apocalyptic bad guys, so I guess it doesn't matter that much. But take off the ends, and you're left with this really cool-looking double-ended helicopter nightstick. I can't call it a bow staff, really, because it's got the nightstick handle there. That's obviously so it can fit into his hand, while he uses this. This is his disc launcher. There's the back, there's the front. You just pop the disc right here into this little spot there and fire away. Boom! Simple enough mechanism. You got this thing that just goes forward, and after you've inserted the disc with its little knobby ended bit right in there, it just pushes it out like this. Boom! I don't know why I gotta say boom every time. Sorry, that's probably getting kind of annoying. Now here's a look at Robin, all by his little lonesome. What a cool looking figure, very comic accurate. You've got the comic accurate Robin symbol on his chest. You got the little strings across the front of his tunic there. You got the green sleeves and gloves with the padding here and here, which was comic accurate. You got a pretty comic accurate belt there as well, along with the boots with the toes in them. This is a pretty much comic accurate. The cape isn't quite right, but I mean, again, you're dealing with a 1996 kids action figure line, and this was the bomb for back then. And here's a look at the face sculpt for this Robin figure. It looks pretty accurate. The paint's all in the right places. The sculpt looks okay. Yeah, for the 1990s, this was a bomb Robin figure. Now let's just pop all his tech gear on before we move on to the next figure, just so you can see what it all looked like. Oh, I took everything apart. Hang on a second. And you'll see here now why this is kind of a nightstick. It's because, yes, you could, in theory, get Robin to just hold the staff like that, which is, I guess, not in theory. In practice, that's what it was designed for, to be held, you know, like that. But also, it was designed to be held with one hand. Why? Well, that's because Robin also came with the disc launcher, and so that had to go on a hand. And so technically, you could have Robin using this gigantic, unwieldy murder staff and his disc launcher. Boom! And next, let's look at Kyle Rayner, who comes with his Ring Energy disc launcher, and of course, he comes with the fractal armor as well. Front of the package here, that's what it looks like, and here's the back of the package, and here is Green Lantern's write-up right there. Let's read it. When Kyle Rayner was given a mysterious ring by a guardian of the universe, little did he realize the enormous power that had been entrusted to him. He became Green Lantern. With his fractal tech gear in place, Green Lantern's strength and ability to create crime-fighting tools increases tenfold. All right, we've opened him up, pop him out of the bubble, dump all the stuff out, and here's what they gave us. The action figure and all of his Green Lantern-y accessories. So here's the chest plate that comes with Kyle Rayner. The piece of tech gear looks very techy. Kyle Rayner's classic emblem there, Total Justice there, and the shoulder cannon actually started off in the neutral position, but when he's gonna get ready and go into battle and blow someone's face off like Darkseid, you just pop that up over his shoulder and blammo! And he also comes with these little bits of armor that just snap into place on his body, as we'll see in a moment. And finally, much like Robin, Green Lantern comes with a disc launcher as well. Here's what the logo looks like. It's Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern logo, and here's a close-up of just the disc launcher in general and the back of it. And much like with the last one, you just push the little thing and boom. Okay, and now both. Boom! Oh god. It fell down there behind all of my Mezco 1/12 collectives. That's going to be a pain to get out without knocking them all over like dominoes. And now let's have a look at the figure itself. Again, very big, buff, and muscular like the rest of the Total Justice figures. A very angry face. Definitely not a neutral pose, but none of these figures, there's nothing neutral at all about these figures. Between the muscle tone, the poses, the facial features, these figures all look like they're ready to just go into battle. Hurrah! We have Kyle's unique Green Lantern emblem here, a nicely sculpted Green Lantern ring there. This is a finely sculpted, actually very, very comic accurate version of Kyle Rayner. The face on this figure is pretty much what you would expect from a 1990s big buff roid raged Kyle Rayner. Oh wait, he didn't do roids. Don't do drugs, kids. Or steroids. Hemorrhoids. Frig! Don't do steroids, because then you'll look like him. Anywho, all joking aside, let's put the armor on him so you can get an idea of what he's actually supposed to look like when he's ready for battle to take on Darkseid and his minions. The leg plates are on, the chest piece is on, and I guess you would stick his launcher on that arm. Yeah, and that's what he looked like. Now the question is, can I get him to balance? Balance, stay there, don't fall. There we go, yes! Interesting looking. Let's shoot the thing one more time with him wearing the armor. And next we'll do the Flash, which as you can see here was actually purchased for $7.99 at KB Toys a long time ago. Yeah, that's how much these costed, $8. Wow, what is $8 in 1996 compared to today? $7.99 from 96 to 2009 is $13.08. This guy here would have been the equivalent of $13.08. Anyway, we've all seen the front, so now let's look at the back. You can see the other figures, just like all the rest of them, an image of the figure with all the stuff and the armor that he comes with, the instructions, and then also the Flash's little bio write-up. The Flash, the fastest man on Earth, Wally West, became the Flash in a freak accident when splashed with volatile chemicals that had been struck by lightning. The superhuman speed and endurance that resulted are enhanced by his fractal tech gear velocity armor, enabling the Flash to race to the rescue faster than ever before, with virtually no depletion of energy or risk of injury. Yeah, alright. So, we've seen the front, we've seen the back. Let's open this guy up. Oh, that one was a bit messy. Whoopsies. Oh. And here's the Flash and everything that he came with. His leg thrusters, his body armor, the stabilizers. This is actually one of my favorite Total Justice action figures, and if I'm being honest, I actually did have this one back in the past. I forget how I came by it, but I remember having it, not the armor, so I must have got it used somewhere. Taking a closer look at Flash's armor, you got the chest piece here looking, very much like it belongs in this action figure line alongside all the rest of the armor. You've also got the two different leg thrusters that attach to his legs like that. They move out, I'm assuming, so that when he's running, he can have rockets, like rocket-powered legs. He's also got these pieces which will attach to his forearms that we'll see later, and these bits actually pop out a little bit just for aesthetics. It's probably to help, streamline him or whatever. And then, of course, you have two stabilizers, which, of course, as you can see, just fit right into Flash's armor. They just slot right in there like that, and they're supposed to help stabilize him when he runs. Yeah, very cool looking. This stuff here really has a little bit of an Injustice Gods Among Us feel to it, don't you think? And here's what the figure itself looks like before we stick all the armor on it. I gotta tell you that the pre-posed super buff, hyper sculpted, muscular look to this whole action figure line really works well with some of the figures, and Flash is one of them. This is such a striking figure, and it's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, in the entire Total Justice. And then afterwards with the Hasbro JLA, this is probably my favorite figure. The sculpting detail looks absolutely fantastic with this figure. And everything is sculpted except for the emblem on his chest, which, if I'm being honest, it's painted on really, really neat. And we don't even see that with DC Direct, DC Collectibles, or Mattel with their figures. So you gotta hand it to Kenner back in the day. Sculpted on detail for the gloves and for the belt. And the boot has unique sculpting detail specifically to the Kenner Total Justice line, as well as the boots on the bottom. The treads have been sculpted on too, so very cool. The face sculpt for this guy, not what I would think Wally West would look like, but it's still very cool, and it matches the overall aesthetic of the action figure in general. And if I'm being honest, this would be If I had to keep only one Total Justice figure that wasn't Superman, because I'm a Superman guy, I would probably keep this one. Now, once you have gone ahead and snapped all of that fractal armor, that tech gear into place with the leg thrusters and the stabilizers on the back, here's what he looks like. And next we'll go with Hook Hand Aquaman, who comes with Blasting Hydro Spear. If I'm not completely mistaken, this was the first ever action figure of Hook Hand Aquaman. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was. The back of the packaging looks like all the rest of them. There's instructions for how to put the armor pieces on Aquaman, and he also has his own individual write-up, which is as follows. Aquaman. Born in the underwater world of Atlantis, Arthur Curry leads a dual life as Aquaman, protector of the world's oceans. He is able to breathe water, swim at speeds up to 100 miles per hour, and communicate with most sea life. Though his strength diminishes after prolonged exposure out of the water, Aquaman's fractal tech gear allows him to remain on land and battle villains with his blasting hydro spear for extended periods of time. Anywho, okay, let's open him up. Oh. And finally free after 23 years, here is what you get. You get this piece of armor here that I don't even know what it is. It's not actually named. It's got the Total Justice logo on it. I mean, everything's got to have the Total Justice logo, but it's not actually specified what it's called. As well as this piece too, right here. And let's not forget the Blasting Hydro Spear. Dude. This thing looks like something out of a science fiction aliens movie. Look at this thing. And yet, it has the Aquaman A on it. Of course it does. Let's press the button and give it a old flickaroo. That's interesting. It looks like a big purple tongue if you ask me. And it's licking! And next we have the figure, of course. I mean, you wouldn't buy it just for the accessories with all of his rippling muscles and abs. Look at all them abs. He's got so many abs. They're so big, just like the rest of his muscles. The sculpting detail for this is accurate completely to the comic books of the day. There's his Aquaman belt that we all know what it looks like. Always kind of looked like that. You got the fishy scales that have been sculpted on the side there and the fins on the backs. You got more muscles, lots of more muscles, no sculpting on the bottom of the feet. You do have that armor on his torso there and on the one arm that is accurate to the comic books as well. I would have probably wanted to have this painted like a silver color as compared to the color that they went with, which is much more like a really dark charcoal gray. And then you have more rippling muscles and Aquaman's hook right here. And then you have that there face sculpt. That looks accurate and contemporary for the days with the great big blonde beard and long flowing blonde hair like he's swimming in the water or it's blowing in the wind or something like that. These figures, although there was a lot less you could do as far as articulation with these guys, for 1996, these were actually really interesting looking. Let's stick the armor on now just to see what it looks like. So this piece here, obviously, it's going to go over his shoulder like that, and you can see that the hair actually goes right on top of it and holds it in place so that his these things can stick out. And next we'll just clip this piece on right here just like that. It's just, whoops, let's try that again. And next we'll just clip this piece on there just like that. So he's wearing this and this, and then he's also got his Shooty McBang. I mean, his Hydro Blasting Spear, or whatever the heck it was called, which can go kablamo! And ta-da! Here he is with all of the armor on. You know, all these rippling muscles make sense. I mean, wouldn't you get super buff if you had to carry all this heavy stuff around all the time? I know I would. Get buff or go home. Aquaman also came with this exclusive Batman and Superman figure offer. You had to offer proofs of purchase, and then you filled this thing out right here, and then you sent it in. And next, and also the last figure we have is Lord Darkseid with Omega Effect Capture Claw. He also had the same offer on the front as Aquaman did, only this is what it looks like when the tape hasn't been pulled off. This is an untouched offer. The back of the package, the same as the rest of them, has instructions on how to use his little claw effect, and Darkseid has his own personal write-up, which reads as follows. Sorry, I gotta crunch the package a little bit to read it. Darkseid, enormously powerful and evil beyond comparison. Darkseid rules the planet of Apocalypse with an iron fist, craving total intergalactic domination. He has set his sights on Earth, recruiting other cosmic villains in a plan to invade and destroy the planet. Though he usually lets his henchmen do his dirty work, Darkseid has the terrifying ability to project deadly Omega beams from his eyes and snatch up victims in his giant capture claw. Wow. Sounds frightening. Giant capture claw. Ooh. We've looked at it long enough. Let's do it. Let's open it up, take the plunge. And I present to you Lord Darkseid, the final figure in today's review. This bad boy is huge. Seriously, look at how tall he is compared to the Flash. The guy's really big, but he's in scale. Now Darkseid, although he has no real accessories to speak of, he does come kind of with like a built-in accessory with the capture claw, and it's nice that it rotates and it's not just stuck in the position it is that you get it when it's in the package. Yeah, it's kind of like a built-in accessory. You push this little button here at the back and voila! Now he can reach stuff from across the room just a little bit easier. Although, if I'm being completely honest, I don't really know why Darkseid would need a claw like this, but you know why he needs it? Because kids in 1996 would have thought this was fun. There you go. Actually, kids today would think this is fun. The actual details for this figure, though, they're pretty good. He's very, very classic Darkseid looking. Like, they got the actual overall look for Darkseid bang on with this figure because it looks absolutely fantastic. The belt is accurate, the helmet is accurate, the color scheme, the boots, everything is really actually Darkseid accurate except for that big, ugly, tooth-yanking capture claw. And although this Darkseid is very muscular, he also has the least amount of ridiculous muscles. Like, as much as these figures are cool, I mean, this is a ridiculously large amount of very defined, rippling, bulging, bodybuilder hasn't drank water in 2 days kind of muscles. While Darkseid looks incredibly buff, just not quite that buff. He just looks bulky, but there's some cool texture work, and there's actually some gray shading on this as well. It's not just one color, there's shading work there. And for Darkseid's face coming in closer and having a little looksy-poo at it, yeah, that looks good. That looks like Darkseid. I'm super, super happy with how this figure looks and how it turned out. As for comparisons, I'll keep it brief. On the one side, we have the Mattel Dark Knight Returns, and on the other side, we have a customized DC Universe Classic scale Batman. And then next, we have the Kenner Superpowers Collection Batman on the one side, and on the other, we have a customized version of a Mattel 2002 Batman series Batman figure. And then next for Flash, we have a Kenner Superpowers Collection and a DC Universe Classics to compare him to. For Darkseid's comparison, we have another Superpowers, and then a DC Superheroes on the other side. And then for Hook Hand Aquaman, we have the DC Universe Classics Signature Series exclusive Aquaman, and then on the other side, we have the DC Direct from the Justice League of America 4-pack. And then for Kyle Rayner, we have the Mattel Multiverse version on the one side and the DC Direct Green Lantern series on the right. Both of these figures come with a lantern, but this one didn't. I mean, don't get me wrong, this thing's cool and all, but it certainly would have been a lot cooler had he have came with a lantern too. And for our final comparison, we have a fairly heavily customized version of the Tim Drake Robin from the 2002 Batman line. And then on this side, we have the DC Direct Teen Titans Tim Drake Robin, one of the coolest looking Robin figures ever. I mean, just look at it. It's so cool looking. And of course the video wouldn't be complete until we had the obligatory here's what they all look like together shot. And you know what? I feel like kind of sad that I overlooked these guys for so long as a DC action figure collector. These guys are fantastic and they completely encapsulate the look of the time they came out in. Wally West with the white irises, Kyle Rayner with his completely new Green Lantern suit, Hook Hand Aquaman being all hook handy, and like I said before, I'm pretty sure he was the first Hook Hand Aquaman figure ever, correct me if I'm wrong. All of these figures look fantastic and represent the 1990s very, very well. I'm just glad I started collecting them now, and you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be collecting every single action figure in the Total Justice and then also the Hasbro JLA line because they're just really fantastic. Rippling muscles, limited articulation, and all. And let's be honest, the added armor might be kind of cheesy at first glance, but if you're a kid, it's absolutely fantastic to have those little armor bits. Yeah, you probably would have lost them like a week after taking them out of the package, but it's definitely a neat little idea. And remember, the armor comes off and you're not stuck with it. If you really don't want to display them with the armor, you don't have to. You can just stick them all in the Ziploc baggie and forget about them in a cardboard box somewhere under your bed or in a closet. Anyhow, this has been video number 1 in my 1996 Kenner Total Justice action figure series. You can definitely count on there being an episode 2 because that's Wave 2 and I've got the entire wave. And heck, I might even do Wave 3 if I can get my hands on them, who knows? Fingers crossed. I hope this video's been fun for you. If you're around my age, then this should be a kind of walk down memory lane, and if you're younger, this hopefully has been pretty informative and you've got to see some of the stuff that people my age and a little bit younger would have had to collect back in the day. And if you have enjoyed this video and found it useful in some way, shape, or form, and I do hope you have, then take the time to drop a like on it. And if you want to see more of my face and hands and my DC Comics related content show up in your inbox on a regular basis, then I invite you today to become a super friend and join the DC squad by hitting that red subscribe button and tinkling the bell so that you get notified of when I put out new videos. And with that, we're done. So have a DC day, everybody, and take care. Until next time.